Hello and welcome to our Sunday evening's edition of Arirang News. I'm Daniel Che here to provide you with the latest. President Park returns home after wrapping up a state visit to France following her East Africa tour. The 12-day trip produced results with achievements in areas from development and aid to the creative economy, as well as support for countering North Korea's nuclear threats. Song Ji-sun gives us a summary of the diplomatic tour.
Building cooperation for the future was the purpose of President Park's marathon tour of 3 East African nations and France. South Korea is eager to jointly foster growth engines with them and share the resulting prosperity they should bring.
한국은 아프리카와 호혜적이고 미래지향적인 경제 협력을 이루어 나가고자 합니다. 저는 프랑스와 협력하에 양국 간 호혜적 발전은 물론 국제 평화와 번영을 위해서도 함께 노력해 가고자 합니다.
In East Africa, Seoul came armed with customized development plans for each stop of Ethiopia, Uganda, and Kenya. South Korea will help them build industrial complexes based on their individual needs. In France, the creative economy was the buzzword, with the focus on fostering new industries and startups.
Korea, with the African nations and France, sealed ties for mutual growth and cooperation towards the future. The economic cooperation agreements will provide momentum for boosting exports and taking another leap to revive the economy.
During the president's trip to Africa, Seoul introduced a brand new development assistance program called KOREA-CUBA, offering mobile healthcare and Korean cultural contents. Seoul and Paris also agreed to jointly assist the development of the African continent. President Park also garnered support in pressing North Korea for its nuclear ambitions. While Kenya and Ethiopia vowed to fully implement the UN sanctions on the regime, Uganda went a step further, cutting all military ties with Pyongyang. France, a vocal opponent of the North's illicit activities, reaffirmed its stern stance against nuclear proliferation.
As a permanent member of the UN Security Council, France will work towards reining in North Korea's nuclear provocations, which threaten peace and security in Northeast Asia and the world.
Countering the challenge of slowing growth and North Korea's continued provocations, President Park returned home with cooperation from the international community, further cementing her 2 pillars of the economy and national security. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
And before she was homeward bound, President Park paid a visit to a research institute of the world's biggest industrial gas supplier during her state visit to France as part of her efforts to expand bilateral cooperation. During her visit to the Air Liquide Institute on Saturday, President Park got a closer look at the facilities and later participated in a test driving session for taxicabs powered by hydrogen fuel cells. Air Liquide's headquarters is located in the southeastern city of Grenoble, where President Park studied for 6 months back in 1974. The presidential office said the company's liquefaction technology and Korea's expertise in producing hydrogen fuel cell vehicles could be mutually beneficial and lead to additional collaborative projects in the future. The company has 12 branches in Korea after opening the first one in 1996 and currently serves as one of the major suppliers of industrial gas, including hydrogen and helium. Over in Singapore, South Korea's defense chief discussed North Korea's nuclear ambition with his French counterpart. During the talks, Han Min-gu thanked Jean-Yves Le Drian for his country's initiative in leading the way for European nations to take a more active role in punishing Pyongyang for its continued provocations. Le Drian expressed France's willingness to further strengthen coordination with South Korea to tighten the noose on the communist state. Aside from that, the two ministers also touched on ways to increase cooperation in various areas of national defense. The South Korean defense minister wraps up his 3-day overseas trip with a one-on-one with his Swiss counterpart, Ki Pamelin. Staying with the Shangri-la Dialogue in Singapore, denuclearization of Pyongyang and that deployment to South Korea topped the agenda on the last day of Asia's largest security meeting. Kim Hyun-bin files this report from the island nation.
Chinese Admiral Sun Zhenguo used a speech to global defense chiefs Sunday to highlight his country's efforts in pursuing a nuclear-free Korean peninsula. Sun took the podium on the final day of the 3-day Asia Security Summit, dubbed the Shangri-la Dialogue.
China has made significant efforts and has been under a lot of pressure.
We have done a lot to maintain peace and stability in the Northeast Asian region and to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula.
The deputy chief of China's Central Military Commission added that the deployment of the U.S.-led missile defense system THAAD to South Korea will undermine Beijing's national security.
As a serviceman, it is more than clear that the deployment of THAAD far exceeds the scope of defending against North Korea and affects China's security.
China claims the U.S. military's THAAD radar system in South Korea could be used to spy on Beijing's military activities, in addition to its stated task of detecting and shooting down North Korean missiles. Seoul and Washington want to deploy THAAD to better protect the South against the ever-growing threat posed by Pyongyang's missile and nuclear program. Seoul and Washington have been actively discussing the possibility of deploying the U.S. sophisticated missile defense system to the Korean Peninsula after Pyongyang conducted its fourth nuclear test and intercontinental ballistic missile launch earlier this year. Experts say China needs to put more effort into denuclearizing North Korea and dismantling the regime's missile programs, or the issue is likely to remain a thorn in Seoul-Beijing relations. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News, Singapore.
South Korea's top nuclear envoy will travel to Beijing for talks with his Chinese counterpart this week. According to Seoul's foreign ministry on Sunday, Kim Yong-gyun will meet with Woo Da-wei on Wednesday to discuss the situation on the Korean Peninsula in the wake of the North's ruling Workers' Party Congress last month, as well as bilateral cooperation between Seoul and Beijing. The meeting is garnering special attention as it's just coming weeks after a visit to China by North Korea's top official, Lee Soo-yong. Yoon Byung-se is in Cuba, becoming the first South Korean foreign minister to visit the island nation. He will look to improve bilateral relations and encourage Cuba to help turn up the heat on its longtime ally, North Korea. Connie Kim has more on the diplomatic trip.
South Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se is in Cuba on a visit that's being billed as part of Seoul's efforts to lay a foundation for improving bilateral ties with the island nation. Seoul and Havana have not had any diplomatic relations since the Cuban Revolution in 1959. Minister Yoon, who will attend the two-day summit of the Association of Caribbean States, expressed hope for strengthening relations with Cuba by building trust in various fields.
The Park Geun-hye administration has put in subtle but various efforts to improve relations with Cuba. I believe my visit to Cuba symbolizes that and marks an important milestone in our bilateral relations.
Seoul's foreign ministry did not mention the possibility of bilateral talks with high-ranking officials from Cuba, but Yoon's visit is expected to add to the pressure on North Korea, which has had ties to Cuba since 1960. North Korea has recently made efforts to boost ties with Cuba amid stronger international sanctions on Pyongyang. Kim Young-chul, the vice chairman of the Central Committee of the North's ruling Workers' Party, met with Cuban President Raul Castro last month, where the two reaffirmed their cooperative ties. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un sent his best wishes to Castro on his 85th birthday earlier this month. Speculation in Seoul is that North Korea will continue its efforts to maintain close ties with Cuba to hinder the possible burgeoning diplomatic relationship between Seoul and Havana. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
The South Korean government is about to make a major investment in improving social welfare for its citizens. The Social Security Committee announced on Sunday that it has gotten the green light for a $52 billion funding package for welfare projects being carried out by 187 government departments this year. The projects are already being implemented in different corners of the nation, and with a budget boost, the departments will be able to provide more customized services. The Welfare Ministry also plans to provide greater support to efforts to grant more Koreans access to such benefits. Korea came in at 28th out of 38 countries on the OECD's Better Life Index for 2016, a significant decrease from the year 2012, where the nation was ranked at 24th. The ranking indicates Korea lags behind many European countries when it comes to overall well-being. A closer look reveals, though, Korea did earn high marks for education, with students' reading and math skills topping the list. But with an ultra-fine dust level that's 5 times higher than Australia, Korea came in at second to last for its environmental quality. The index also found the number of people who work more than 50 hours a week is more than 23%, almost 10% higher than the OECD average. Norway topped the index, followed by Australia, Denmark, Switzerland, and Canada. And now for a quick look at the weather before we go. Be careful on the road if you are driving in Korea on Monday. Hazy conditions will hinder visibility in various parts of the country. A light drizzle is in the forecast for the southern part of the nation. Temperature-wise, Seoul will start the day at 19 degrees Celsius, while Chuncheon and Gangneung will be at 15. The mercury will then rise all the way to 29 in Seoul and Chuncheon, and then to 23 in Gangneung. That's Korea for you. Let's check out the weather conditions in your neck of the woods and around the world. That's all the time we have for this hour's newscast. Do join us for more at 10 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.